There are very few places like the Wildlife Waystation, founded by Martine Collette. And to those who work and volunteer here, no greater cause than to help the voiceless. Nestled in the hills above Los Angeles, the Wildlife Waystation is an internationally recognized refuge that has helped tens of thousands of wild and exotic animals. The plight of these animals has garnered the support of many, including celebrities who are willing to lend their names and faces to help raise awareness.
I pursued Martine Collette, and when I met her, I was so overwhelmed that I hugged her for about 3 minutes as I stood there listening to the lions roaring and the monkeys making those great sounds and the birds cawing, and I felt the kind of deep appreciation that you can only feel for someone who gives their whole life to such a profound and important cause.
Walking through this facility is like being on safari. It's not the cageless wilderness where these lions, tigers, and bears can roam free. But in reality, without Martine Collette and the Wildlife Waystation, many of these animals would have seen certain death. You see, these animals didn't just need a home, they needed to be rescued. This beautiful cat is a ligress, a cross between a lion and a tiger. It's hard to believe when you look at this amazing animal that it is an outcast. Shunned by both species as if it were a freak of nature, this ligress is a product of man, the victim of genetic engineering. As with most oddities in the animal kingdom, she would likely not survive in the wild. But here at the Wildlife Waystation, she has found acceptance, a home, and the love and respect of her human caretakers. Then there's the limping bear, another animal that wouldn't last out in the wild. This grizzly used to live in a park where they offered drive-through safaris. Her owners had cut the tendons in her paws so she couldn't use her claws. In the wild, she'd need them to catch fish and defend herself. The park shut down, and there was no place for this bear to go but the Wildlife Waystation. You understand then why Mungar, the nearly blind tiger, wouldn't make it on his own. Here at the Waystation, he not only brightens the lives of the volunteers, but helps in educating the public about wildlife. He is perhaps the biggest attraction at the Waystation's annual Safari Brunch. Waystation staff and volunteers take this opportunity to share with Wildlife Waystation supporters the importance of protecting these creatures, big and small.
If you were helpless, you'd want a friend, right? Animals are helpless. Let's be friendly.
Martine Collette founded the Waystation in 1976. There was a need, but there were no facilities set up to deal with wild and exotic animals. There were also no rules or regulations. And as the decades went by, the need for its services increased, as did the ever-changing regulatory environment. So, when the Wildlife Waystation was in danger of being shut down, the fate of hundreds of animals uncertain, Martine Collette asked Bob Lorsch for help. Although always in need of financial support, what Martine and the animals needed from Bob was not simply money. They needed someone who cared and someone who loved animals. They needed someone whose heart was in the right place. And these people will tell you they came to the right person. Meet Bella, a border collie service dog that has done her share of good deeds. A certified disaster dog, wilderness dog, and cadaver dog. Although trained in live finds, Bella has only found bodies, bringing closure to families devastated by the death of a loved one. She found 4 bodies in the rubble of the Oklahoma City bombing and 30 bodies at the World Trade Center. 6 years ago, Bella needed help of her own.
I just go over all my dogs a couple times a month and feel their legs and their body, and I felt some kind of something different on one of her legs.
It was cancer. Bella needed immediate treatment that would cost $6,000, money the fire department couldn't provide.
There's no way, being a single mom raising 2 girls, I would have been able to afford that amount of money to help her out.
Bob Lorsch read about Bella's cancer in the newspaper, and without having met Bella or her owner, agreed to pay for treatment.
With his help, he helped this dog get back into service within 6 months and go on and do her biggest performance, her biggest search of her lifetime.
And that was the discovery of Megan Barroso's body, the last victim of the Simi Valley rapist. It wasn't cancer, but a heart defect that almost cost Matthew Russell his life. Mary and her husband had been trying for years to conceive, and at 41 years old, she had Matthew.
They came back without a baby, and he said he had a major birth defect in his heart, and he wouldn't survive.
Matthew needed a heart transplant. Ironically, Mary is a cardiac nurse. She knew they needed a miracle.
There were a lot of babies in line. And by the time we went through the process and got to Loma Linda, we were with families whose babies didn't make it in time. They died in the process of waiting.
Through Matthew's grandfather, who was an associate of Bob's, Mary ended up appealing to a man she's never met before for help. Bob Lorsch did what he could.
He just went on a huge media campaign. He just was awake for days. He called everybody he knew, Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 11, Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 5, everybody. 3 weeks to the day he was born, Matthew got a second chance at life.
It's been 11 years, and I still do this every time I talk about it. You're both extremely happy and extremely scared because it's a huge surgery. And you got a baby that's 6 pounds, and he has to go through tremendous things to get out the other side. But you also know it's the only chance he has.
11 years later, Matthew is an active, amicable, articulate boy.
I don't know if it was Matthew wouldn't be here or would be here, but I know there's hundreds of other people who are here because of him.
No, Bob is no miracle worker, but he's good at getting help. People help Bob because Bob helps people. That's why Carol Adelkoff, president of 1736 Family Crisis Centers, enlisted his help in her charity's work to benefit battered women and homeless teens.
Bob is bright. He's social and caring. He's extremely involved. He cares about initiatives. He cares about our country and the politics of where we're heading. He cares about animals, clearly cares about children and families. Bob, first of all, is an intelligent person, so when you combine that with his generous heart, it's a very helpful thing to charities. He knows many people. Whatever he's thinking as he's speaking with one, it always extends to a question of how can he benefit the charities that he works with. How can he link people together for a better outcome than either one could offer to the community by themselves?
And it's that ability to link people together that has helped the Wildlife Waystation. In 2003, Martine Collette at the Wildlife Waystation honored Bob with a humanitarian award for his tireless efforts and for truly being a best friend. Bob was presented the award by LA County District Attorney Steve Cooley.
The Waystation went through a transformation, maybe an epiphany, and Bob Lorsch and a lot of other good people came on board with their management experience, their leadership, their money, and their commitment to save the Wildlife Waystation, which, by the way, is a very popular resource here in Los Angeles County.
It was Bob who rallied the right people around Martine and the Waystation. People like LA County Sheriff Lee Baca, who writes of Bob, "Mr. Lorsch is a person of high character and great reliability when a task needs to be done. He will do what is right without seeking personal reward. He is a person I trust to do what is helpful for people, animals, and our environment." To their credit, the agency responsible for prosecuting the Waystation for its code violations sought ways to bring it up to code and still allow the work of saving animals to continue.
The Waystation rose to the occasion and now is a very beautiful facility with just a few issues remaining. Operating lawfully under the county's rules and regulations.
After the Waystation's USDA license was reinstated, Bob Lorsch agreed to join the board of directors to take on a more active role in helping Martine, the Waystation, and most importantly, the animals. Yet today, he finds himself pulled away from that purpose, having to pour time, money, and energy that could otherwise be put toward the Waystation's mission to rescue, rehabilitate, relocate, and provide sanctuary to wild and exotic animals around the world.
I don't know quite what the hearing is all about now, other than maybe some sort of administrative sanction because maybe someone didn't jump high enough or say Mother May I enough. I think that they're wasting the taxpayers' money, they're wasting their own time, they don't see the big picture, and they're harassing someone who's a functional hero in my eyes and the eyes of the public at large here in Southern California because of what he did. He stood up, took on a problem, came up with solutions, fought the fight, and has performed a heroic role that maybe only he could have done. He decided to sort of take them on and not bow down and kiss their feet. I think that they'll let it go and let us here in Los Angeles County, who have dealt with this problem in a very hands-on, solid way, let us tend our business and protect this resource.
People help animals because they want to. Some would say it's a higher calling, that we, as the dominant species, should help God's creatures. World over, town or city, God trusts us with this task, to give our love and pity to those who cannot ask.